Hey everybody, Will here, and today I am here indoors with my Inspire 1, and I wanted to do a quick indoor flight for you guys to show you some more features of the Inspire 1. And I should mention today I have the iPad Air with me. I was running into a little bit of a problem with my Samsung Galaxy Tab S 8.4. It was just having some issues with latency. I'm not sure what the problem is. It was actually working okay, and then all of a sudden it got terrible. So I'm kind of looking into that situation, but for the demo today, I thought I would use the iPad Air. So, yeah, let's just get to flying. You can see right here that we have, we had a signal issue that occasionally pops up. But you can see right here it says safe to fly GPS, and a second ago it said safe to fly non-GPS. And that's a little bit of a concern of mine. I'm used to flying my Phantom in here quite a bit, and I know I cannot fly it in GPS mode because the GPS signal is weak, and all of a sudden it will just pull towards a wall if it picks up a satellite or something's going on. So usually I fly it in ATTI mode, and this one it seems to at least count to make sure it has enough satellites, and right now we have 9 indoors, which is pretty cool. If you aren't in kind of a big space like that, you might not get that. But it's saying safe to fly in GPS mode, but I'm going to show you some more features of how it navigates inside and how it handles inside compared to the Phantom. So I'm going to go ahead and take off and hit record as well. Put the landing gear up. So here we are, we're flying indoors. So the first thing I would normally do is flip it around so that I could film myself here. And this is a little bit harder because obviously the controls are reversed when we're flipped around. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it back around first and show you. First of all, this is, again, GPS mode, and you can see it locks onto its position pretty well. A lot better than the Phantom 1, my Phantom 1, or even the Phantom 2 would indoors. There's still a teeny bit of a drift to it, but if I go ahead and switch it into ATTI mode, you'll see now it'll start to drift in whatever direction it happens to have some momentum in. And this is how I'm used to flying indoors. It's not too hard, just keep an eye on it, and you could fly around and, you know, just keep an eye on it and you should be all right. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the orientation control lock feature here, which is a GPS mode, and you can see it lets you reset in the air, which is really cool. It didn't give me this option with my Phantom. It doesn't let you reset in the air, I don't think, or certainly it doesn't show it to you. But you can go ahead and reset it, so now that front wall is going to be forwards no matter what, even if I turn it. You can see I'm going forward and backwards right now, and it's going away and everything back and forth. I'm going to go ahead and close that screen there. So right there, you'll see that's one way. Now I'm facing around and filming me, and I'm able to control it a lot better, and I'm not worried about crashing into the wall. And you can see how well that gimbal works there. But that's one way to face it towards me. Another way to face it towards me takes advantage of some of the Inspire's features. I'm going to go ahead and flip it around real quick and put it back into normal GPS mode. And so the other way to deal with it, obviously I can pitch with the camera just like a Phantom, but I can't move it left or right really. But there are a couple ways I actually can. So one way to control the camera is actually touch the screen. You can see if I hold it for a second, I can then start turning the camera around and face it towards me right there. So that's pretty useful, and you can see the camera will get that little, that's the thing that's locking onto the table underneath it. But, and you can't quite point up with it, you'll still get the landing gear. But when you're in the air and you're kind of just scanning around, this is a really useful feature to look around with just a single controller. I'm going to go ahead and use the left trigger to flip it back around to the front of the craft. And the other last way I can mess with the camera position is by using the free camera mode. And so I'm going to use the bottom right trigger here to put it into free camera mode. And you can see as I twist the craft, the camera will still face that front wall. So that's pretty useful for filming, but also for this circumstances, I'm going to go ahead and turn that off so it's now moving again. And one way to face it towards me is going to be really quickly to flip it around, click that button, and then flip it back. So a couple of different ways to kind of mess with the way the camera faces. And let's go ahead and film the cat there. And then you can see I'm not in orientation lock. I am just in full GPS mode. Forward's going to be the nose of the plane, and back is going to be the tail. And the camera is going to still be facing whichever way I have it. But let's reset that. I'm going to go ahead and face it towards me. So one thing I wanted to show you is that system that tracks the ground. One thing you'll notice here is that I have some sort of weird table set up. This is not my normal table, it's actually sort of a table on a table. And the reason for that is that camera system that tracks the ground, that lets it be so precise in holding its position. You can see it's drifting around right now. It only works for about 6 feet. And that's exactly why I have the table set up there, is because I wanted to have the camera here. And now you can see that I have the table right underneath. It's holding its position. And then alternatively, you can see it still does drift around a little bit. You definitely need to keep your eye on the drone when you're flying indoors. But it definitely does a lot better. If this were in Phantom 1 or 2, it would definitely be drifting all over the place. And you can see the closer you get to the surface of whatever you're tracking, the more accurate it gets. And actually I'm going to lower the landing gear really quickly just to show you how well, especially landing this thing is a lot easier because of that system. You can watch in 1 second. If I point it at one of the feet, you can really just hover right over the surface. And if you've flown a Phantom 1 or Phantom 2, you know once you get really close to a surface, the backdraft off the surface will start flying you around. And here it really just stays exactly at a certain level above the surface, which is pretty amazing. Let's go ahead and get back in the air. So already a lot more control flying indoors. But yeah, let's just, you can see the control of it, and again the gimbal in particular. And again, this is filming backwards, so you see a lot more of the gear in the shot than you would if the camera were facing forward. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and switch it into orientation control. Flip the camera back around. Oh, it's in free camera mode. There we go. Get rid of that situation right there. Yeah, so there we go. You can see it handles the movement very well, and it's a very agile rig. So pretty cool, and again, let me show you one cool feature again is I like how the camera can go pretty high up. You can kind of get what's called a hero shot here, where you're sort of looking up. You definitely kind of have to split your attention between the screen and the drone when flying inside. It doesn't just avoid objects or anything. You still have to make sure you don't crash into anything. One kind of weird situation too with the tracking system is that I'll actually follow the ground too. And I think that actually works better if I switch it into normal mode real quick. And I'm flying on the table. Let's see if you can see it do it. But again, it's holding its level pretty well. And let's set that up level with the horizon. It's holding its position pretty well. And if I drift over, it should drop down once it reaches the end of the table, because it thinks the ground, see, it dropped down a little bit. And if you're on a slope and you're actually flying down a slope, it'll actually go down with the slope, which is kind of cool and kind of annoying at the same time. You sort of have to get used to it. But yeah, let's put it back into orientation lock. Actually, I don't want to put it in orientation lock. So let me just show you a few more features of this thing. Oh, definitely a lot more backdraft too with this thing. But one other feature it has is it has exposure. If you click on the screen, it'll expose to the spot that you click on, which is kind of nice. There you go, you see that change right there. Yeah, that's kind of mainly what I wanted to show you today. Some extra tools to help with indoor flying, and now I'll just kind of fly it around and try to get some shots of different things. You can see a deer there with the GH4. Yeah, it definitely has a bit of backdraft to it. But definitely a lot more control with that. Again, it's in GPS mode. It's saying safe to fly GPS once again. But it definitely is a lot more precise in where it holds its position indoors, regardless of whether it's getting a GPS signal. Ooh. And you can see there the camera kind of got confused by the fact that the stairs are right underneath it, and it's just dropped down a little bit. But you can see the bridge, it caught the bridge right there and did something weird. But overall, I'd say a lot safer flying indoors. I think I'd still want like a Phantom 3 if you're gonna do a lot of flying indoors, because it's gonna be doing the same stuff but not be so big. But otherwise, again, this is a lot more control than I ever felt I had with my Phantom indoors. So. Another thing about this one is actually the lens is a little bit tight for flying indoors, but again, if you're in a big space or flying through a bigger space, which is normally what you would just be flying this thing in, you should be all right. So now I'm going to use the camera to flip me around here. So why don't we actually go ahead and go downstairs real quick. I'm going to go ahead and unlock Adira's camera. You got it? Okay. And let's see. Again, the closer you get, the better it is. Okay. There we go. Again, see, it's just, I mean, it holds its position. Again, I shouldn't set down the controller, but it definitely holds its position pretty damn well. And I think you all can remember, if you saw the Phantom tour that I did here, I didn't spend much time in this area at all. And actually you can see, this one does make a bigger mess though. But yeah, I did not spend a lot of time here. I was actually afraid to go towards Adira's art cup things. Maybe I shouldn't go that close. It's still a little bit scary, but even this area, hanging out right here, feels a lot more comfortable than it did before. Actually, let's see real quick. Trying to see if I can find the cat. There it is. Again, this is a lot bigger. I'm kind of keeping a close eye on it. I wouldn't fly around people too much. I just have one person in this case that I'm keeping a very close eye on. But yeah. Whoa. Oh well. I don't know where she went. We lost her. Yeah, let's go. Okay. Yeah, I guess you can definitely get some cool shots that you normally wouldn't indoors really quickly. Again, one shot I had to do. I've done a few shots with this thing, and as well as my Phantom, that are essentially just crane shots. But it takes a lot of time to use a crane and set it up, and sometimes it's a pain to get it inside certain spaces. And so this just gives you kind of some other options. All right. There she is. You can see her chasing the dust that it kicks up. See, I think there it was confused by the rug that was popping up underneath it. And then the last thing I should mention too with the Inspire, which I forgot to do in this time, is the gimbal actually is, you generally have to adjust with every flight. You can see it's not completely level, and it just has this option to really quickly adjust it. Mine's usually around 1.2 or so. Today it looks like a little bit less, but... And it's actually the way it adjusts too is a little bit erratic and strange, but Oh, it's going the other way today. Okay. Well, not much of adjustment, but that's one thing you usually do when you get up in the air is you adjust the gimbal. And yeah, I think that's gonna be about it for this one. Let's go back out here. Definitely helps in this sort of situation to be right behind it. So yeah. So that is the Inspire 1 flying indoors. Like I said, I probably, if you're going to do a lot of flying indoors, I'm sure the Phantom 3 is just as good as this, and then you don't have this big quadcopter kind of flying around delicate things. But compared to the Phantom 1 and Phantom 2, it's really, really amazing in its control indoors. So I am very pleased with it, and especially too having the camera and being able to point it around independently and having different ways of, again, controlling it. And at the end of the day, it helps to be walking behind it while you're walking around. But if you can't do that, this definitely has a lot more control over how you can mess with the camera. So very cool there. And then next up, we're going to be flying it outdoors, of course, and it's very good at that as well. So that is going to be coming up next. And until then, thanks for watching.